definitely volunteer your services and then get around people who are doing this already. And just by that, you'll hear of opportunities. You'll be ingrained in community and you'll just learn what your next steps can be. But that's your first couple steps right there.
Welcome, everyone, to the TechGuide podcast, where we give actual advice to those wanting to break into tech or are looking for their next gig. We have Katie McKiever on the podcast today to talk about getting a job in social media. She has so much experience in this field. I'm so excited to talk with her. So, Katie, welcome to the show. Super, super excited to have you on.
Thanks for having me, Ryan. I'm excited to be here.
It's going to be an awesome one about social media because you've had a ton of experience, award-winning, own agency, all that good stuff. I just kind of gave some of it away, but can you please give the audience a little bit more background about a little bit more who Katie is?
Well, I've been in the social media space professionally for 15 years, and I feel like that's practically dinosaur age at this point. But it really comes down to, I think, just the common thread throughout my entire professional career is really people and where are people and getting to people. And so it's always been in a digital space for me. My first, kind of job during college was radio. So I've moved through every element: radio, magazine, news broadcast. I've hit pretty much every element of media. And then when social media came to play, really how I got involved was I was in marketing for a local company, and Facebook pages came to be for businesses to create a page for their brand. And I was like, oh, this connects. Like, this is everything, people and marketing and like communication. It just was like this perfect, like, square target within all these elements I loved. And so I didn't know that going through college, like I had social media went around. So now that came to be, I started building out, social media strategy and becoming known as a social media person locally. And then my goal was to work into a role that had social media in the title, because those really weren't around at the time. So that just became kind of my stepping stone and eventually got there. But yeah, I've loved being on social media teams, leading social media teams, consulting, getting into the strategy, content making, and bringing, really helping people understand the impact of social. I think everybody is there at this point, but I think social media still is a misunderstood thing. Yeah. And then especially professionals in that role, I think people still don't understand what all we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're definitely going to peel that back about what you guys do in this podcast throughout. So I promise the listeners we will get there. But a question that came to mind for me, because you've been in social media basically when Facebook was getting started and you identified that trend and whatnot. Pretty big question here, but what has been the biggest difference between social media 15 years ago to today?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it was very kind of platform focused and you could really be focused. And now it's do you want to niche even? I mean, social media was its own just thing, its own job, its own piece of marketing, but now you can even kind of do subsets of social media roles, content creator versus, paid social. There's all these new, well, and they're not new anymore, but there's new avenues to getting into social media professionally that you can go down these paths when it all was just this kind of bubble of social media. Everything fell into that because it was just Facebook, and then others came along, and Twitter and then Instagram. So as that became more and more of an opportunity, that did allow professionals to kind of build out their abilities, and still all those things lumped under. But now there's just so many platforms that I see people specialize in just one platform. That was unheard of. That was a thing you did. So that's been huge. Just how much social media in and of itself as a role has grown, and how narrow and targeted you can be as a professional in social media now.
Yeah, I think it's I think what's really what I could think it would happen is when you're on Facebook 15 years ago, that was really the only platform. Now you have the TikToks, you have the Twitters, you have the Instagrams, and I feel as you said, there's so many more verticals popping up of influencer marketing and all these different types of ways you can actually use social media to grow a brand.
Yes. And yeah, those communication points, those connection points to a brand. All of it. It's massive now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I think is like so interesting is like, it is such a massive field, and like, how do you get started? And let's really talk about like that first job in social media. So if you're sitting down with a 23-year-old, 22-year-old, 24-year-old, and they said to you, Katie, I want to be in social media, but like, I don't know where to start, where would you advise that person to start?
Mm-hmm. I was there. Yeah, absolutely. This is how I've explained it to others, and how it's a tried and true method. Really, if you have no experience whatsoever, and you just, you might have your own capabilities, you run your own channels, all that, or even if you have a degree in social media, until you get that real world experience, it's hard to prove. So
yeah,
I absolutely would. I'm not a proponent of, I don't promote necessarily free work, but when you're starting out, I would volunteer for a nonprofit, or find that maybe probably local organization. Nonprofits especially always need help in this way. Volunteer on their marketing and communications committee and run their social media channel, and get those wins and get that experience and that resume builder on paper and on your LinkedIn. So you have experience and proof to show back. And that's how I did. What I did is started out, I was at a company and then built their social media pages, Facebook page. But also I was like, I like this. I want more of this. I want more experience with it. So I volunteered on marketing communications committee for a nonprofit, ran their social. Then I was like, okay, I need to get around other people. So this is the other key, is getting around other professionals in that field. So you become known and you can learn from them too. And I love doing things in person if you can, but absolutely there's online forums all day long where you can find these other professionals and network. So I, 15 years ago was, getting around people here in Charlotte, North Carolina that were in this digital space, and just becoming known and just being in these conversations. Because if you're, just don't have social media experience, you're not a part of these conversations. You don't hear what people are talking about and kind of learn the lingo and the language. So definitely volunteer your services, and then get around people who are doing this already. And just by that, you'll hear of opportunities. You'll be ingrained in community, and you'll just learn what your next steps can be. But that's your first couple steps right there.
I feel like it's just like, there's a really good opportunity right now with social media, and like, there's just so many different ways that you can do it. If someone was going to say, I want to like specialize in like TikTok, would you, or something like that, like in a platform first, would you say, great, specialize in one platform? Or would you say like, you need to be learning like all the different platforms?
I've never recommended somebody to go platform specific, but there is absolutely a case for that. I know I'm playing both sides here, but there is a case for it. I mean, if you want to get your foot in the door by being very narrow and focused, absolutely. I mean, because by no means is TikTok narrow and focused, because you can go so many places with that. But if you want to become known as the TikTok content creator, TikTok social media manager, then do it. If that's where your passion lies, and then yes, absolutely. And then you can build out from there. I do, if you're continuing to want to build yourself into an overall kind of social media manager inside medium-sized to larger organizations, you will absolutely need to know other platforms. You're going to have to know that, and you're going to have to be experienced in other platforms. So know that you're probably not going to just end there. But if that's a way to get your foot in the door and market yourself, that people will search for TikTok content creator or TikTok social media manager. So if that search is there, then you can absolutely specialize that and then grow from there.
Absolutely. I want to ask, like the current like job field is like you see with like social media. Are there like TikTok specific roles, or like in your resume and like your cover letter, you need to be like spread out a little bit more and have those keywords of like Facebook, Instagram, like all that type of stuff?
I do think you're going to have more opportunity if you do have other experience, other platform experience on top of just one platform, and working that into your resume, working into that LinkedIn profile, having Facebook and Meta Business Suite and Instagram. Even though as much as people say, Facebook is not, the cool place to be or the cool place to market anymore, it absolutely is. And I think if you're going for more of those high paying roles or want to work into that, you're absolutely going to need that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's that's what I would advise someone as well. Is like if you want to hit those keywords and like really getting the foot in the door, because I'm going to ask you this, like how many companies do you think are like actually only searching for like one role right now, like one platform specific?
Not many, and if they are, they're probably not going to pay. I mean, I come from a kind of corporate, kind of very business background in my social media experience. So you're probably not going to get more of those higher paying roles if you do specify, if you do specialize in TikTok specifically or something like that. If you want to really build out, yourself as a well-rounded social media professional, you're really needing to market to the managers, the leaders, the executives that don't really get it necessarily, but they know if they bring on an expert that they'll be able to kind of do all the things. And then you can kind of help train them internally once you're in there on like how to actually work all of social media. But it is, it's a harder road, I think, if you do this specific platform, specialty. But get the experience, and build your resume and become more rounded, and you will have more opportunities.
I love that. That's really good stuff. I want to talk about like generating other opportunities for yourself as well. So you said like a great way to do this is like through nonprofits, like volunteer experience as well. What's the case? I want to talk about like that framework that you have for like LinkedIn and like actually creating content before you get started with a role. Can you talk about that framework that you have for like content creation even before you get a job that you could be doing like right now as an individual?
Absolutely. So I have a framework that if you're just kind of getting started or wanting to get your foot in the door to be known in the social media world or to be known by businesses as a potential employee down the road, then I call it the 3-2-1-GO framework. And this can work for so many different people, but I do think putting yourself out there and proactively posting and talking about your expertise, whatever expertise you have, because you have it. You just have to kind of look for it maybe a little bit deeper than others if you're just starting out, but it is a 3-2-1-GO framework. So what it is, and I absolutely would recommend that you have your LinkedIn profile active and updated and optimized. So at least like that's the bare minimum is that you log in your LinkedIn, you have your profile image, you have your banner image, you have, your experience so far, and you have your about section set up. So then if you have all that, that's the basics, and absolutely need that if you're in the job application world. Your next is this 3-2-1-GO framework, and that's how to proactively get yourself out there. And so what this is the three is 3 posts that you can just rotate through to proactively post content. I'm going to talk about exactly what each of those posts are, but then the 2 in the 3-2-1-GO framework is 2 times of engagement. So I think a lot of people talk about or think about social media or running your own channels and being known as an expert in your field very in a proactive posting content way. But really, half of the battle is engaging, is connecting with really key people, online networking, on LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn is the place to do this. So you need to have 2 times of engagement that I recommend people, you block out your calendar for 15 minutes on Monday, 15 minutes on Friday. And this should actually, you should be doing more. But if you're just getting started in this is what you do. You block out for 15 minutes on Monday, you block out for 15 minutes on Tuesday or Friday, and you're going through LinkedIn and you're commenting, you're connecting, you're anybody that looks interesting, anybody that could be anything related to you or in the world you want to get into. You're congratulating them on their job, their new, their promotion update. You're pressing the connect button and you're sending them a message like, just wanted to connect here. You look really interesting. I really appreciate the content you're putting out. I wanted to expand my network. You're doing this and you're getting a feel for LinkedIn because that's where a lot of your opportunity can come. And then that 1 and 3-2-1-GO framework is one platform. So I just like to tell people just to focus on one platform. And then you can use other platforms to network yourself, but you really want to focus on one and hone in on one at a time. And then the go is the get out and go. It's like, that's just what it is. You need to get out and do it. So I'm going to circle back to those 3 posts that you can rotate through that are really strategic. So some people, all the time, people come to me, they're like, I don't know what to post, or I don't know how to use these, LinkedIn seems so like daunting or dry or stale or like a snooze fest, or like, what is that really going to do for me? It can do a freaking lot. So and I would recommend one post a week at a minimum. So you really want to make sure, and LinkedIn just put out data that said if you post once a week, just by doing that, you get 4 times more profile views. So like you're already winning if you just post once a week, and that's nothing. You can absolutely do this. So these 3 posts that you rotate through, this is all content you have in your brain. I never want to prescribe something that you have to like go out and do this research paper on to like get content for. This is stuff that you are at the ready. You have that you can post about. So that first one is something that you've learned. So this post on Monday morning, you pop up, you have a Google spreadsheet or a Google document, or you pop up your LinkedIn, you're going to post. So something you've learned. If you're in, the job application world, or you're trying to like make a move, you're listening to podcasts, you're reading books, you're reading articles online. Like you are in research mode, or at least I hope you are, that you are in a reactive content world. So you need to post about a podcast you just listened to, or, NPR on the radio. You just heard this NPR story, like on your way to whatever. Post about it, or this book you're reading about marketing. Take a picture of, the front page of that book, and you're posting that as your image on LinkedIn, and then you're writing what you learned about it. I mean, this could be 2 sentences. It truly can be a super quick win, or you can make it more robust than that. But this is strategic because you're writing this up. You're showing somebody, oh, well, first off, they're bold enough to post on LinkedIn. Like that's a win in and of itself, because so many people don't. Second, you are showing somebody that you are active, like you are in your world, like you're working, you're constantly learning and trying to better yourself. So, and then third, this is strategic because you're writing that post, and then you're tagging the author, you're tagging the host, you're tagging anybody, and make sure it's relevant. You're not spam tagging anybody, but you're tagging the person involved in that content too. And that just creates this nice reciprocal like content back and forth. So somebody's getting pinged, notified that, hey, Joe Blow is posting about me and posting about the book that I authored. And I guarantee somebody involved in that content, if it's a podcast, if it's, this podcast right here, post about this, tag us. If they are represented on LinkedIn, so you could find an account to tag that's relevant to that Forbes article you just read, that reporter, you're tagging the reporter, thanking them for the content. And then look, you're building your network, because they will probably, they might engage with your content. And it just shows like the LinkedIn algorithm just in general is just like, the feed is just really different and unique and cool, because there is all this reciprocal kind of back and forth with, if you're engaging with people, it's just a different environment. So I really recommend that. So you're not just posting into the void, you're bringing in other accounts, potential accounts, and kind of giving yourself the opportunity for inherent additional reach just out the gate. So that's the first post that you're rotating through. So that's, your first week, Monday morning, you're posting about that podcast or that article you just read, you're tagging. That second post is what you teach or want others to know. So say you're in that volunteer role, and, you just did something that, you posted something on their Instagram account, and you just wish that, somebody knew something. Like there's something in your brain or something in your world that you just wish other people would know, or something that you have told your friend last weekend about, the role that you do, or something you like, whatever it is you posting about that and teaching that back to the LinkedIn world, and whatever eyeballs might fall on that content. You're helping them, and you're showing that you have something unique to say. You're not just regurgitating something random. So please, talk about something that you teach or that you want others to know. And whether you think it's a big deal or not, if you just learn that, by sharing a story on Instagram and then geotagging it with the location tag, up the reach by 5%, talk about that and tell other people, that's a great tip. And then if there is anybody to tag in that post as well, please do so. And that third post that you're rotating through is something that you are proud of. So if you are proud of, the work that marathon you just ran, the work that you do, whatever, you're just like diversifying your content, you're posting about it. And these are just things that are at the ready that kind of give you some guidance into proactive content that shows that you're out there, you're doing things, you're not just sitting by waiting for somebody to call you with a job opportunity. So you're out there, and I guarantee if you just stick with that for 3 months, that you will see so many wins. You're going to open up your network. You're going to have conversations you will have never had. You're going to connect with people you will have never connected with. And that just sparks the opportunity snowball to continue for yourself. It's really, really important. So that's the 3-2-1 go framework. You're proactively posting, you're engaging on a regular basis, and you're focusing on LinkedIn for 3 months, and you're getting out and you're going with that content, and you will see wins guaranteed.
Yeah, I think what's so like cool about that is like what I took from that is like I have like wanted to like start like posting regularly on like LinkedIn. I do it like kind of sporadically, and like having like that framework of like going into each week of like what you know you're going to post because it's systemized, I think is like super helpful to actually being able to stay consistent with it.
Yes, it's so helpful. Yeah, I've seen success with that. I've seen others really have success with that. So I'm glad that resonated with you too. I hope it resonates with the listeners here, because it can really lock you into being consistent, and that's really half the battle on LinkedIn or anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. For like the experiences one though, for someone that's like super young, like how would like they might not have like a ton of experiences. So is there something that they can like tweak with that, or like what would you advise for that?
Yeah, I mean, even if you're hopefully you're testing stuff in your own channels.
Yeah,
like something that you've experienced. And I'm a big proponent of real world, you be in real life content, and in real life experiences really overlapping with digital content. So there's absolutely ways to build in experience, even if you don't have a lot, from your personal profiles or opportunities that you see other people doing, or ways that you feel like, I mean, this can be experiences that you don't necessarily have to have owned yourself. But if you see, I mean, this would be the ultimate hack. If you see other brands and your learnings from their experiences, you see Nike posting about whatever marketing campaign, or, you see somebody doing something really cool, a brand doing something really cool on Instagram, like elevating that and be like, oh, like I see, I identify they did this, and this, their messaging was on point. They really, just whatever your takeaways are. And that's, not your direct experience, and you're not representing it as such, but you're showing, you're linking to whatever the content was, or you're screenshotting it, showing that, and just putting in the what you're experiencing and what you view that experience being, and the key takeaways. It just shows you're a strategic thinker. You know how to examine and strategize, and really those strong takeaways from other content. That would be a great way to showcase experience, because at least you have the thought mentality. You might not have the direct experience that you've done something, but you have the thought of strategic. You're not just you're just not somebody that just does whatever somebody tells you. You're coming in with a new lens and new thoughts for content.
Yeah, I think another cool thing for like that engagement piece as well is like if we're like really like maybe a potential hack here is like to comment on like actual companies that you want to work for, or like interact with those, or like the recruiters at those companies to actually like kind of start opening the door there as well.
Oh my gosh, talk about yes, you're talking about being strategic with the engagement. That's absolutely one way. And then take that up a notch too, going to those brands that you really you want to get in front of potentially, and going to the people tab in that LinkedIn brand profile. And this is why I love LinkedIn. And this is the main reason why I love LinkedIn, is that it is you're one click away from any major decision maker in an organization, not even major, like any decision maker that you need, you have access to them. So going to that brand page and going to the people tab, and you just put in social media or comms or communications or marketing, and you find everybody with that title, and you just connect with them and reach out and be like, hey, I would love and even if they don't accept your connect request, or even if you just find them and go to their content, they post regularly and you're just commenting on their content, like they're going to know who you are. They're going to know your name, and you are going to be a recognizable personal brand, because you have just engaged, because just for the love of it, like you have identified them as being somebody that's out there doing really cool things, and you like their brand. Like, who doesn't want that kind of engagement on their content, or to be reached out to by somebody like that?
Yeah, it reminds me of someone we had in the podcast, Laura Freund. She works at Canva now, and that's actually how she originally got in at like Taco Bell, I believe. Is like she was interacting with their posts. She was like making posts about it. She was super passionate. It wasn't Taco Bell. It was Canva. She works at Canva. She was super passionate about like Canva and like everything you could do there. And that's kind of how she like wiggled her way into there by posting content about it.
That's incredible. Like that's the power of it. And that all happened on LinkedIn.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the power of it. Yep. That's incredible.
I love it. As we wind down here, I kind of want to give you the last stage essentially about like just advice you have for someone that is wanting to break into social media. Just general advice. You've given a ton. That framework is incredible. But just like, what are some closing thoughts on like if someone wants to break into social media, what would you give them?
Oh, absolutely. Talk about it. Tell people what you know. Tell your friends, tell your family that this is something you're passionate about and that you love doing, and the opportunities will come. Like, just be proactive about you being vocal about what you want to do, and committing to it and getting around other people that are doing it. Networking is huge, whether it's online, in person. That's how you're going to find a lot of these opportunities. So keep with it. And the opportunities will come. I can't express how much networking and just being out there with your desire for wanting something, the payoffs are immense.
I love it. Well, Katie, thank you so much for being here. Last question for you. If someone's like, this was an awesome conversation, I want to learn more about Katie and want to connect with her, where can they do so? Oh,
yeah. Well, I would love connect with me on LinkedIn, Katie McKiever. I also have a weekly newsletter. I call it my digital baby because I love it. If you go to socialmedianewstouse.com, it's a weekly newsletter. I give you all the platform updates because they change all the time. And I just like to make sure that people know what's happening on the platforms on a regular basis. So that's something that will come right to your inbox. And I appreciate you having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you today.
Thanks.